All right, Carlos, we are live. Good morning. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Doing great. How about you?
It's Friday, my man. It's Friday. I'm ready for some basketball this weekend, some follow-up today, and I'm ready to start stuffing and building the pipeline for September. This month is over. It's over.
Yeah.
All my loans are closed.
Oh, really?
No more stress at the end of the month. So now we got to work on stress.
You get a week off. I mean, not really. Not quite a week,
as I
but
said,
a few days.
Now I gotta start working on stressing towards September.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. So, well, I know we're pressed for time, so I wanted to talk just real quickly about systems today. Everything is based on our systems of follow-up, and we know in order to convert and make that happen on the 7 contacts, we got to have systems in place and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk just a little briefly today about some systems and share a little story. So I was talking to this guy who this guy. He was telling me about what he does on his day job, right? He's got this core piece of business that he sells, and then he calls, he goes through the system and calls people and tries to upsell them to warranty coverage over their purchase, right? On their purchase. So he, of course, these are all people that he didn't directly sell, right? So, there's just a list of people who have bought, and then he goes through and he's calling them saying, hey, you know what? Let's upsell you. Try to upsell them to a warranty, right? On whatever they purchased in the store. And I said, man, I bet you're the only one who does that. And he said, I am. He said, most people are sitting around waiting for people to walk in. While they're doing that, first part of my day, I'm coming in and I'm dialing all those potential warranties, and I can make an extra $100, whatever, on the warranties. And so, in my mind, I started thinking, wow, that's a great model because, one, it's an extra revenue source potential. 2, he's building a pipeline of customers that when they come back into the store to buy something else, who are they going to look for? The guy that sold them the first time or the guy that called them to try to upsell them on a warranty? They're going to look for him, right?
Right. The person that's in front of them.
Yeah, stuff in his pipeline and creating all kind of future opportunities, and his system was what I really was impressed with. It was, listen, at this particular time of the day, it's really slow. So at that time of the day, that's when I'm calling and dialing and trying to get all these upsell to warranties. I'm not wasting time just walking around, drinking coffee, talking to people. I'm taking that time when there's not a lot of foot traffic in the store, and I'm dialing. This is my guy, Brian. Morales. This is Brian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sitting around talking to him. He's telling me that. I'm like, whoa, I was so impressed. Impressed with him.
And if you knew where he worked, he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Right. He doesn't have to do that.
No, he doesn't have
to. He absolutely does not. He could stand around all day long and just wait for his peeps.
Exactly. But he's finding the free time to pound the dials and call people and try to sell them warranties on their equipment. And those are people when they come back in to buy something else, because they're going to come back in. Most of them have credit cards for Nebraska Furniture Mart. They're going to come back in. They're going to look for him. And that also was so impressive how he had his system of by daytime, when he's doing his calling and what he's doing in terms of, trying to prospect. I was impressed with that. I was very impressed with that.
The one thing I love about that is that he has unlimited amount of income. He doesn't have to cap out. You know what I mean? He can make as much money as he wants.
Exactly.
And he gets that opportunity to do it, and he takes advantage of it.
Yep. That's right. He does. Yeah. He does. Yeah. No, it's impressive, man. He's got the system. So that's why I thought it would be really cool to talk a little bit about the systems and planning for success, right? Because he's planning for success. I mean, he's got his method that he uses in order to, pound on the dials and then pound on people when they walk in the store. But, his system is great. I even told him, Carlos, I even said, now what you need to do is on your day off, you need to take your system one level further. On your day off, since you're also doing real estate, now what you need to do is you need to carve out an hour on your day off and prospect. Now call some people and prospect all the people that make sure they know you also do real estate. So all those
Right.
people that you're running into at Nebraska Furniture Mart as a on-floor salesperson, all the people in your family, all the people, all your friends in your phone book. Now take an hour a day that you're off and prospect, hit them and let them know you're in real estate. Now you're going to be creating another revenue stream and prospect stream on the real estate side to where eventually you're going to be overloaded with business. So, we had a good conversation talking about that, and I couldn't wait to kind of talk with you because I know you would. I know you already knew, but I also know you would be like, oh yeah, eating it up,
Yeah, he's an animal, and I'm impressed. He's young, and he's on the phone. And when I say young, the reason why I say young because the young folks don't do that. They think that it needs to come to them. They're entitled. And it's tough, but he does it. He gets on the phone. He gets after it. He is thinking outside the box. That is the biggest. That is the biggest thing. Is he's thinking outside the box of ways of getting more business in that instead of just standing there and waiting. Because you could just stand there and wait. It's just like the car business. You could just stand there and wait for people to come in. I didn't. I called people. I met people. I went out and met people. I brought business in. I didn't wait. And that's what you got to do. You got to upsell these people. You got to get in front of the people and have that system in place. And if he does that every day and he makes those phone calls, and it's just follow up. It's good follow up. It's good way to stay in front of people. And you're exactly right when you say, when they come back in there, they're going to go to him.
Yes.
And that's just like, when I was in the car business, it's like, there's 10 salesmen that swarm to people, all 10 people go after one person, when they see one car come up. But then when they come up and they say, is Carlos here? That's what you need to do. You got to make appointments. You got to make phone calls. That's a way to get more business, especially when you have the opportunity to just sit there and wait for business to come. You don't do that.
You don't do it. Yeah, no. He exemplified what I would say is ground and pound. I mean, when we're really trying to get some business, it's like in football, it's like the running game. The key is the running game. You really have to be able to run the ball, right, to keep the defense honest. But like in prospecting, it's like it's ground and pound. You got to be able to carve off some time to pound the ground with new activity. And the fact that he chose, to call and upsell people to a warranty, I was just super impressed with just the thought of like, wow, okay. And really, he was doing it probably just for extra money, not even realizing that he's really going to be building a pipeline because he's going to be creating other opportunities and building other relationships with those people for them to come back in the store and choose him and look for him, call him out and go, where's Brian at? And like, how do you know Brian? Like, Brian didn't sell that. Brian called me about a warranty. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, it's just they're going to come in and ask, and he's going to see that business, that repeat business is going to come in. I had somebody ask about some furniture the other day, and I'm like, hey, I know somebody over at Nebraska Furniture Mart. Ask for Brian Morales. I mean, he'll get you taken care of, and that's a great way to do that. I mean, it's a perfect scenario of being a go-getter, getting after it, being a step ahead. Because if you're not a step ahead, and calling people and making those appointments, it's going to be tough. You can't let it just come to you.
Yes, no, I agree completely. And I think that, like, again, starting out in business, it's all about having a system in place. It sounds like he has the ability to track he's keeping track of who he's calling, and then he's following up on those people, and building a future pipeline. And that's just all systemic, right? Having a system and an approach, and again, I use sports analogies a lot. When Grant used to, get hitting lessons from Mike, from Mac at Insights, he would say, have an approach. What's your approach. Your hands are in a certain place, your feet in a certain place. You're letting the ball fly. You know what I mean? And then you're driving, having an approach, and that's the same thing. Like, we need to have an approach. Like, each day I have to have a plan of who I want to go after, who I'm targeting that particular day. I got to carve out some time, in that day. To go after those people, and then I got to follow up on those conversations that I have that are potentials. So it's all about approach, it's all about process, it's all about having a system in place. And when he shared that with me, I was impressed, and I said, "Man, we got to talk about him," because that was impressive. 20
that
years
was.
old. 20 years old. I think he's just barely turned 21, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like
very impressive. So
it's very impressive in an area that that's the impressive part. He doesn't have to do that. It's the Nebraska Furniture Mart. There's hundreds of people that come through there a day.
Right. Right. That's right. He can just sit back and wait. He can just sit back and wait. Yeah. He can just sit back and wait.
Right. They come from all over. Like, it's not just.
Yeah, he could just sit back and wait. So it's good stuff, man. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. That's an example of someone that, that's doing it right. And now he can transfer that. So the key is, what I shared with him is that the key is that skill, that grind, that creativity, that's a transferable skill. Like, you can transfer that to real estate. You can transfer that to anything else, because that's just blocking and tackling. That's just basic stuff.
And he had 3 jobs too. I think he's gotten rid of them, 2 of them, I think. But he had 3 jobs at the same time as that Nebraska Furniture Mart as well, Yeah. And this guy started in the warehouse at Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Yeah.
He wasn't always in sales, and yet he wanted to get into it, and look at him. He's getting after it. He's just, he's got that system, and he's thinking outside the box, and he's getting creative.
Yes.
Yes. And he's doing great. I think, and if he keeps those phone calls going and he keeps getting in front of people, he's going to have a good return there. He's going to have a good turnout of business.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's no wasted activity in what we do. There's no wasted activity. As long as we have a little bit of organization, a little bit of structure, a little bit of system in place, it's going to yield results. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed.
I was telling Eric, the new agent here, he, about this calendar, and he's never done that before. And it was just a lot, I'm like, what do you think of your calendar now? Because it's a lot, but you got to have your system in place. You got to have your time that you call. You got to have what you're doing. You got to have a track. You got to have, you got to know what you're doing every day. You got to have a purpose. And just like in life, he's learning as well too. You got to have it in life. Yeah. You got to have your goals. Yeah. You got to have your structure. You got to know what you're doing every day, and you got to get after it.
Absolutely. And, once we have that system in place, it's just easily replicatable, right? It's like, you listen to a lot of the millionaires, the billionaires, and, they say, man, after they made their first million, it was easy to make the next million, because they just repeated the same thing that they did previously. And it just becomes easier, right? Once you have a system in place, it becomes easier, but we got to have a system in place, a way, an approach to following up, an approach to, generating leads, an approach to closing deals. We got to have a system in place. And so I thought it was really good, with a good illustrative example to kind of talk about that with Brian today. So I know you don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to share that because I know you would identify with that guy.
Very much, very much. He's a hard worker. He's and he's doing shirts too. You know that? He's making shirts.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
He bought an embroidery machine. He's making shirts. So
okay.
And he took the time to learn it. Like, he knows how to digitize logos too, and that's not easy to do. Wow. And he took the time to learn how to digitize. And he's doing and making those shirts. He's embroidering shirts and stuff. So he's just an animal when it comes to work ethics. He's on focus.
Yeah, that's impressive. No, it's very impressive. And he's going to be extremely successful. He's already successful. I mean, already. Right. I think he's just barely turned 21.
Right.
The focus that he has, and the creativity and the focus. I mean, again, I can't say I was that focused at 20 years old. He is zeroed in, focused, and committed, to pounding the pavements. That's impressive.
Yeah. And and he I know his little he worked, 2 or 3 jobs when we met, and his aunt is the broker, Bianca's his aunt. He called her up and he says, I want to learn what you do. I want to know, I want to learn it. I want to do it, and she's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And he's just taking it on, and he's focused and he's structured, and like I said, with this calling at Nebraska Furniture Mart, it's just amazing. Thinking outside the box.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. He's just starting. You're right. As long as he keeps doing this, as long as he keeps his pattern going and his structure going, he can fine tune it later. But he's at a good, perfect starting point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna blow him up. It's gonna blow him up big time. So, okay, cool, man. I'll let you go. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend.
You too.
And we'll catch up.
Okay.
All right, man.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.